What is this steampunk of which you don't speak anymore? Well, this is the steampunk of which I don't speak anymore. Wretched clock, if you remember, before I went on holiday. Already seemed to be working, absolutely perfect. Already to turn it into a kit and to start making them and all the rest of it. Since I've got back, I've noticed that sometimes its AM and PM is correct, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it sticks. This bit reaches about there and it doesn't go back. And the snail cam follower, which is somewhere in there, is left floating in mid-air. It's ridiculous, I tells you, and this has been the plague, the bane of my life developing this. This is why it's taken 4 years and counting. What I've realised though, I think I might have solved it, is that the gears and everything else are free to move when it does get stuck, but this seemed to be sticking, and the only reason that can stick is if it gets stuck on the stainless steel rivet, M4 rivet, which is actually 3.9mm. So I was drilling out these, being all very clever, to 4mm diameter, so 0.1mm free, which I think might have been too much. It was sticking. So, as with the mechanical cracking gauges, the motorised ones, I've drilled this out to 4.1 because I think PLA plastic, well, it does absorb moisture, so perhaps got a little bit small, but 4.1, I've never had any problem with the mechanical gauges, and I don't think it makes a scrap of difference with this. So in fact, another executive decision, I'm also going to drill that out and the pivot behind that, and actually the middle of this and that. Oh, I tell you what, lots of drilling, all to 4.1, and then I'm going to test it again. By testing I mean find other stuff to do while this slowly grinds around, proving I don't know what I'm doing. I'll get that done. Arg, damn it, Janet. I do not understand this. All I did, as you saw, is take off the geared pieces, drill them out to 4.1mm, put them back exactly the same way, and nothing lines up. I just don't understand, which is why, as I said, 4 years and counting. So none of them are moving this way, none of them are moving that way. You know, there's just a slight extra bit of clearance, but suddenly, well, let's see, when this, if you watch that rack and that bit, they now knock into it. No, they don't now. And this slips off that, and I just don't understand. I really don't. This clock is just full of mysteries. I do not understand how I can take stuff off, drill out, put it back on, tighten it up with the same spacer I used before, and then nothing lines up. That doesn't line up with that. The follower doesn't line up with the snail cam. This bit hits the pawl for the AM PM. Oh, it is unbelievable. And until, as I have said numerous times, until I finally get this reliably working, it's not ready to sell or to turn into a kit. I have to know it's at least, well, 99.9% repeatable. But even the bearing there, even the bearing on the end of the follower, the little silver bit, that no longer lines up with the snail cam, which I moved forward to make it line up with before. Oh, it does my head in. But I am going to persevere this time. I'm not going to put it back on the computer and wait for another year or so. I really do need to get this sorted out. The amount of time I've got invested in it. So what I'll do is sit and think for a while. Yes. Plan 4553.2, part 7. Think what I'm going to do. Having considered several other options, I'm going to change the design of this 3D printed middle shaft, so I end up with a 3mm gap in there, so I can have a larger bit that this gear pushes onto, smaller bit for this front one, so it still lines up with a hexagon. That then brings that forward, which then should engage properly on that gear and will miss this. There's so many different things to weigh up, so many different pros and cons, but I think that's what I'm going to try and do. Yes, I will. I'll go and do that now. Being in my newfound particularly uncharitable mood, I was thinking, ha, useless, they leak air, the filament storage bags, and look, this is just going to be printed on a bit of paper, what a rip-off. But, look, they've put something in it that's gone through, and I do think they have changed colour slightly, so that's nice, reassuring. There's the two wretched 2mm parts cut out, the new version with a spacer, and the 3D printer on its new Plectrum platform, whatever, printing yet another shaft. Finally. And this illustrates just how long and how incredibly frustrating this project has been. I'd have to say hate is quite a strong word, but I'm beginning to hate this clock. Look at that. I mean, there's 4 just there and other bits. I've just cut out so many of these wretched things. Still, mustn't grumble. Let's cut another one out. Test, test, test. Yes. Here's the wretched stinking new version. Got the gear, 5mm gear at the back that pushes hopefully onto 3D printed shaft. 7 minutes and counting, it's not bad. Then we've got this, which has got a prong to line up. There we are, that's not bad. There we are, so we've got a prong to line up with that, because there's another prong on here that we have to line, that's it, so it lines up with a tooth. Now, I'll glue this together and then get it put on the clock. I'm not bother to paint it, it would just be too much. We're getting closer, I think that's the expression. It gets stuck really badly now, but I've worked out why. Look. And what I'm doing now with all these different bits is to make sure, even if they're in line, they're not going to be able to hit anything. So I'm going to redesign this bit, or that bit, just to take a little bit off. For now, I'm just going to sand a bit off there. Useful to know. Let's get rid of all the sticking points. It is worth doing. It is a beautiful clock. It is worth doing. It is a beautiful clock. Aarrgghhh. Engraved lines to help lining it up. There's one, there's the other. That'll make life simpler. And also I've adapted and adjusted this. As you can see the difference, little dimple there, so it should avoid this thing. I'll get it together and let you know. Oh, and I've also made the teeth 0.015mm smaller as well, so it shouldn't bind on this. Right. Got that on, and what do I discover? This knocks into there and that knocks into there still. So what I've decided, another executive decision, although this does move really smoothly, doesn't stick, nothing else happens. The AM PM, if it goes high enough, does work properly, so that's good. So what I'm going to do is move this bit forward or out, because this bit is 15mm out and I've 3D printed these two little things. Why on earth don't I get rid of another 10mm thick cut bit and 2 spacers and loads of other bits and pieces and just bring that 15mm forward? That'll be brilliant. I'll miss that. Bob's your uncle. I'll give that a go. And the 3 new posts are nearly finished printing. Things are coming together. Right, here we have it. The 3 new spacers, which do look lovely on the other side, so why not? They would be painted or possibly even printed in brass filament. That's good. This now doesn't hit anything at all. I'll wind that round or push that. That now goes all the way around really nicely, doesn't hit anything at all. As you can see, there's a nice big gap between this and that. That's really nice, that's reassuring, that tells you. So what I'm going to do now, put the second hand back on, I'm going to test this. I'll set it to the right time and see how it goes. Thanks very much for watching this rather haphazard video, but we are making achievements, we are moving forward. Thanks again. Please remember to click subscribe and the bell thing to be announced, to let you know when I make another video, whatever. Hopefully not too long, and hopefully more steampunk theme. Mind you, I mean, look at that. Like I said, I was really having a difficulty trying to get on with this, but it just, I saw it sitting there on the table, I think, like sort of this sort of angle. I just thought that really does look so beautiful and so interesting. It is worth continuing with. Hopefully we have finally solved the last problem. Hope to see you next time. Thanks again.